Welcome. I'm Darcy Drager. I'm the Executive Secretary of the Morris County Democratic Committee. And our Chair, Amalia Duarte, being an elected official, sometimes has conflicts with our evening events. So she had to leave for a town council meeting. And I'm very happy to be here filling in her place. Tonight, we are concluding our town halls, which have featured all 6 of the Democratic candidates running for governor. Earlier this evening, we hosted Congressman Jock Gottheimer, who you heard at 6, and now we have former state senator Steve Sweeney joining us at 7. I'd like to welcome my co-host, Sussex County Democratic Chairwoman Zoe Heath. Zoe. And before we get started, we're going to just sort of do our announcements that we did at the top of the hour with Josh. The goal of these town halls is to give our county committee members a chance to hear from all the candidates prior to our convention, where we will vote on making an endorsement. And these events are being recorded for later viewing, so you can go back and listen to anything again. And Adam and Shay will be making those available on our website or on our YouTube channel. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us, our elected officials who are on, our state committee members, our municipal chairs, our county committee members, and caucus leaders. And before I get started, Amalia would be upset if I did not make the pitch. We in Morris and Sussex County are always looking for candidates to run for local, county, and state offices. And if you are, we would love to talk with you. If you are interested, we would love to talk with you about running or volunteering with the campaign. You can contact Amalia at her email chair@morrisdems.org or Chairwoman Heath at chair@sussexdems.com. Or you can visit the Morris County website, morrisdems.org, or the Sussex County website at sussexdems.com to find the contact information from your municipal chair or for your municipal chair. It is really important to give voters a choice for every office on the ballot. And particularly in some of our red towns, to show Democrats that they're not alone. All right, so now that is over, I would like to welcome and briefly introduce former New Jersey Senate President Steve Sweeney, a veteran leader of the state's political and legislative landscape. He was born and raised in South Jersey, and Senator Sweeney built his career as an iron worker and union leader before entering public service. He was first elected, I believe, to the New Jersey Senate in 2001, and he represented the 3rd Legislative District for nearly 20 years. In 2010, he became Senate President, a position he held for a record-breaking 12 years, making him the longest-serving Senate President in state history. During his tenure, he was a key architect of policies on pension and benefits reform, school funding, and infrastructure investment, often working across party lines to advance legislation. Beyond his political career, Senator Sweeney has been a strong advocate for individuals with disabilities, inspired by his personal experience as the father of a daughter with special needs. His leadership helped establish initiatives to improve education services for people with disabilities across the state. Now running for governor, Senator Sweeney is campaigning on his record of bipartisan deal-making, economic development, and fiscal responsibility. Please join me in welcoming who I believe is also a fellow Green Bay Packer backer, Senator Steve Sweeney.
Wow, there's 2 of us.
Yeah,
that's great. That's great to hear. Hey, listen, I had to root for the Eagles because they beat our team, so yes. I didn't have much choice.
That was me as well. It was a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow, but better than Kansas City.
Yes, but living down where I live, it's not easy being a Green Bay Packer fan. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's not. Really, even up here in the north, it's not. So
yeah,
we are going to jump right into questions. This is what we usually do. So I will hand the microphone, as it were, over to Chairwoman Heath to kick us off.
Thank you. So all of our questions were pre-submitted this evening. We couldn't include all of them, of course, but we tried to condense all of them to get as many topics in as we can. But our first question, what will your first legislative priority be as governor?
Well, honestly, fixing the budget process so that we have a more reliable, predictable budget. What happens in New Jersey is we go year to year with budgeting. Like, this isn't really very sexy. It's just the budget process affects everyone in the state. So coming up with a budget process that we do multi-year budgeting and consensus forecasting with the legislature. So we have a very honest way of predicting where we're at and what we're doing. is one of the things I would do. There's so many. The disabled community, there's a huge shortage of housing. Well, there's a shortage of housing, period, in the state of New Jersey that we need to address, but we also need to address the 8,000 person waiting list for housing. Because right now, my daughter's fine because myself and my wife are here. But when my wife and I are gone, uh, my daughter will either be institutionalized or put in a group home someplace that might be a good setting for, might not be a good setting for. So really focusing on people like Lauren, that they have an opportunity to have full lives, um, from employment all the way through healthcare, and like I said, in housing is very, very important to me.
Thank you. And on that same topic, we received a lot of questions about affordable housing, which is a huge topic for municipalities, especially as the state moves toward obligations for round 4. What are your specific plans to address affordable housing?
Well, number one, we got to stop the fighting over it. We need housing. We need to build more housing in New Jersey. We're about 200,000 units short. And, you know, right now, a lot of the towns are fighting, again, the affordable housing, even after we do legislation to come up with solutions. The courts have weighed in on this several times. And, there's a stigma with affordable housing, which I think is offensive, because my very first house would have been considered an affordable housing unit. It was a townhouse that, in a very, very, moderately priced home that I barely could afford. But it's a house I could afford and got me started in actually earning wealth. That's one of the huge problems in the state is people can't afford to get in houses, so they wind up renting all the time, and they don't get the ability to accumulate wealth to start themselves on the ladder. So focusing on building more housing is a key focus for me.
Excellent, thank you. In addition to affordable housing, many people are concerned about the overall high cost of living in New Jersey. How would you fight as governor to reduce the tax burden for residents? And as a part of your plan, would you promote shared services or mergers of municipalities?
Well, I'm a huge, huge shared service person. Uh, when I was the freeholder director in Gloucester County, we were the first county to have countywide EMS. We have the best services in the state, the fastest response times. We have half the ambulances that they had before, which are very expensive, and everyone's certified and knows what they're doing. We merged 911 services, and with every town. Tax assessment we've done. When I left in 2010, back then, the county was saving towns $30 million in shared services. Now, during my career, we started closing jails. And Gloucester County was the first county in the state to close their female, male, and juvenile facilities. We were spending $30 million a year on jails. We are spending $10 million now. So there's a lot of savings to be had. One size doesn't always fit all. Huge component of getting school districts to start studying consolidation. Was successful in getting a handful of school districts to consolidate. When I left office, we had 80 school districts studying school consolidation, where we're not closing the school and we're not getting rid of the teachers. We're just getting rid of a lot of the administrative costs.
Just sort of a follow-up question to that. Is there a way, a lot of towns are potentially interested in consolidation or shared services, but they balk because there are additional taxpayer charges that people feel are upfront? Is there a way that the state can incentivize or help people through this process?
Well, when I was the Senate president, we created a grant program for school districts. We funded the cost of the studies so that that upfront cost wasn't an issue or roadblock to getting started. And when I had left office, we had 80 school districts studying consolidation. See, I think that all school districts should be pre-K to 12. So you have a lot of regional school districts. And what I learned that it will surprise you, a lot of these school districts, like the Central Regional or Receiving District, if you have 5 towns sending to one school district, they're all teaching different math. They're teaching different English. So when that kid gets to high school, it's a strain on that high school, that ninth grade teacher, because it's hard when every kid's learned at a different station or different level. And that's something I learned through this process. And, I was very proud that we were able to work with the NJEA, and we came up with a bill on consolidation that worked. And 3 school districts in Monmouth just last year actually voted, each town, and they merged the 3 school districts. And, it's been very good. It's been a very good outcome.
That's great. Thank you. Do you support the Stay in New Jersey program that will help seniors age in place in their homes? And also, do you support continuing the Anchor program or finding other ways to keep the state affordable for seniors?
Listen, I support reducing costs for people in the state. Absolutely, I do. I was very proud that it was my legislation that raised the retirement income threshold. We basically eliminated the retirement income for seniors in the state of New Jersey. We don't tax Social Security, but we did tax retirement income. If you were single, you were exempt to $15,000. Then we taxed the rest of your retirement income. If you were married, it was $20,000. Then we taxed your retirement income. We raised that threshold to $100,000 if you were married, and 75 if you were single. And honestly, a whole lot of people don't even realize we did it, which is, remarkable when you're such a tax-sensitive state. And then we actually, since we had created a cliff, we said that if you make up to 150,000, we would cut half. We reduced half of the state income taxes. So finding ways to make things affordable is very, very important.
Thank you.
So staying on the issue of affordability, what can the state do to help with the high cost of health insurance and expand access to healthcare for those who are underinsured or uninsured?
Well, first, I was able to negotiate a new healthcare plan with the teachers in 2000, I think 18 or 19, I forget the year, which lowered the cost dramatically for the teachers, lowered the cost for taxpayers dramatically. And if you talk to the teachers, they promote the healthcare plan as better than what they had before. So it's understanding the issues and know how to work on these things. As a labor leader, I'm the chair of 2 pension and labor chair of 2 pension and welfare funds. So it comes down to the design, making sure you understand what you're looking at. It's very complicated, but I'm the one candidate that's actually done this for a living and has demonstrated the ability to make it work.
Thank you. And another huge area of concern is transportation, especially the unreliability of New Jersey transit. Can you talk about your plan for improving public transportation and specifically New Jersey Transit?
Well, listen, first and foremost, I'm thrilled that we finally got a funding source, with the corporate business tax. That was something that Loretta Weinberg and myself proposed in 2018, and just with COVID and everything else, we just didn't get there. Now, the good news is they got the funding. They got $1 billion in additional funding. The bad news is it's not constitutionally dedicated, which means it could be spent for other things besides transit. And last year we collected $1 billion and it went to the budget. It didn't go to transit. So what I'm saying is you got to constitutionally mandate the funding so they can't take it away. And we got to do a better job. My son was just in Japan in October. And in Japan, if they're 30 seconds late, they apologize. So imagine it can be done better all around the world. We can do better here. And it's just about getting the right people running it, focused on it, that are transportation people. And again, the funding is a huge piece of it, which I congratulate the legislature and the governor for getting it done. But they got to go one more step by constitutionally mandating the money, because otherwise it will get used for other purposes.
Excellent, thank you. Shifting to a different issue, the environment is of particular interest to voters of Morris and Sussex County. How would your administration handle environmental and climate-related policy?
Well, I was the sponsor of RGGI, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. I was the prime sponsor of that. I was the prime sponsor of the SREX, which created the solar industry in New Jersey. I was the prime sponsor of the offshore wind industry that unfortunately with this whatever you want to call him, animal, whatever you want to call him, it'll be back. But I was the prime sponsor of offshore wind, and I was the prime sponsor of the ZEX, which kept the nuclear plants open, where there was a big push to close nuclear. I'm a big supporter of all the above in order to have energy policy, because a lot of these clean energy policies that we are proposing, that we support, are expensive.
Mhm.
And there is a stress on the ratepayer right now, because a lot of this stuff's in the infant stage. Like I describe it as, remember when flat screen TVs first came about? They were very expensive. Now you can get one for a couple $100. Well, battery storage is part of the big issue when it comes to energy. And battery storage is very expensive, but the cost is coming down. And like when we proposed offshore wind, in the beginning, the turbines were 4 megawatts. They're now 15 megawatts. So everything's moving in the right direction for affordability. But we need, honestly, we need everything. And so probably going to say some people might not like on this call. We need gas too, because without all these energy sources, we can't afford the clean. We want the clean energy. It's expensive. Well, gas is one of the fuels that's like helps us transition to all the clean energy that we're looking to do.
Following up on a comment that you made about having worked on labor pensions, would you support the New Jersey state pension investing in fossil fuel companies?
That's something I haven't even thought about, to be honest with you. But listen, I just told you, I knew I was going to say something. I don't believe in misleading people. You know what I mean? I want to be upfront. So we need gas right now. If not for Josh Shapiro, your electric bill, Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania sued the PJM. Our electric bills were going to go up to 10 times what they are right now in June. Thankfully, Josh Shapiro was able to fight the fight and saved us from this thing. But energy is very expensive right now.
Well,
And what's happened with energy, we've increased the demand, as you know, right? Data centers, electric charging stations. We're saying we want to electrify everything. But at the same time, we've reduced production of energy. So it's supply and demand, and that's where we get our electricity from the PJM. So the bigger problem we have right now is we're going to be getting power from coal plants in the Midwest. And they're going to be working overtime to supply power, and the winds blow west to east, and we're going to get that pollution here in New Jersey.
well, speaking of pollution and holding people accountable, do you support the New Jersey Climate Superfund Act, which aims to hold the largest fossil fuel corporations accountable for damages caused by climate change by requiring them to recover or to cover the associated costs?
Absolutely, 1,000%. I also support the environmental justice bill that Senator Singleton did, that doesn't pack all these places in poor communities, like trash incinerators and all these different plants that emit pollution. Well, over for the last 50 decades, they've all been packed into economically challenged communities, and that's not fair.
Thank you. Children, and pivoting back to education, children in all communities obviously deserve a high quality education. Yet New Jersey, as you referenced a little bit, the quality of education can vary dramatically by school or by zip code. What could you do to ensure that there is greater education equity in our state?
Well, passing S2, which was the school funding formula, For the first time ever, we're actually fully funding our school districts. The money is following the child. It also takes into recognition the economic challenges a lot of these school districts are in, where the money's just not there to provide the education. So, yes, the state has to step up and provide more in order to make sure that all children get a quality education. We're all born equally. It's the opportunities that you're given, and you shouldn't be held back because you're poor. That's not fair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pivoting a bit, will you support and endorse the passage of the Immigrant Trust Act as a vital protection for our community's safety and stability during the next 4 years?
Well, listen, I've come out and said that, look, I have the same position as Barack Obama. If you've committed a crime and you come to this country, you have to leave. If you commit a crime while you're here, you have to leave. And honestly, unfortunately, that bill that you just referenced is giving people false hope. It is absolutely false hope, because the federal government is not going to follow anything like that. So when you're telling people we're going to protect you and then you don't protect them, and I've said this to the advocates. Listen, I don't agree with what Donald Trump's doing. He's 1,000% wrong in the way he's going about this. People should be treated with respect and dignity and humanity. But I do believe that if you break the laws of this country, you shouldn't be here.
Thank you.
All right. One thing that Morris County does in its town halls is to ask what Amalia will refer to as a tough question or an elephant in the room question. So
Sure.
the one that was submitted for you, Senator, is that machine politics have been on the decline in New Jersey, especially with Senator Kim's lawsuit that has led to the end of the county line and a shift to office block ballots. However, you are sometimes still seen as a key figure in the South Jersey Democratic machine with close ties to George Norcross. In this new political landscape, how can voters trust that your administration would prioritize the interests of everyday New Jerseyans over those of political insiders?
Because I always have. There's never been a time when I haven't prioritized individuals over organizations. It's easy to say, look, that was the system that was in place for a long time. There's no more columns. You know who the biggest benefactor of not having columns is? Me. Seriously. There's 6 candidates running in this election. There's places that I would never have a chance if they had the columns. So with the columns gone, it gives someone like myself a great opportunity to move forward. So listen, the system that was in place was in place. I'm someone that's voted to make voting more accessible, making more, we've done things from vote by mails. We've done all kinds of things to make voting easier because we want people to vote. We don't want them not to vote. That's the problem we have right now, is the percentage of people that are voting is continuing to go down. That's when the special interest groups that you're talking to have more influence. But if we vote, it makes a huge difference.
Well, that's an astute observation that ties into the next question here. In our 2024 election, we saw a double-digit shift of Latino, Asian, and Black male voters toward Trump, and we saw a vote in voting from Asian, Latina, and Black women. What do you think that we can do in New Jersey to reverse those trends?
Start talking about issues that people care about a lot. Like, it's the economy, stupid. You know what I mean? Not you. You know what I mean? Bill Clinton's famous claim, it's the economy, stupid. Yeah. It'll be the economy, stupid 100 years from now. Listen, what I do for a living, I help people go to work as iron workers. That's what they do. Every day I call a bunch of unions and I say, how's work? And they'll say, we got 200 out. That's 200 families that are going without a paycheck. You know what I mean? So people normally respond better when the economy is better, when we make New Jersey more affordable. But I can tell you, it's 1,000% the economy, and the Democrats aren't talking the economy. I am the one candidate that can talk to the people that are not voting for us right now. We lost 500,000 voters that last election. They didn't go away. They just didn't vote for us. Honestly, there are a lot of people. I'm a middle class person. That's where I've come from. I'm a union iron worker. I didn't go to college. Everyone else has these wonderful degrees and it's beautiful. But I know what it's like to work with my hands. And, having the opportunity to earn a living, to take care of your family is critically important. So we have to talk to those 500,000 people that said, hey, the hell with you guys. You're not listening to me. And think about but Congresswoman Poe's district. They were black and brown people that came to this country legally, or found the path to being here legally, that are speaking volumes too. The federal government has to get off their ass and find a way to give people a legal pathway to earn citizenship. It's not fair for people that are playing by the rules, doing the right things. You know what I mean? Like they're being participants in the economy, and they're our neighbors. They shouldn't have to live in fear. You know what I mean? They really shouldn't.
Thank you. How important do you think it is for Democratic politicians to loudly refute Trump's false claims and narratives? And what plans would you have to get governors of the region speaking with one voice to the Congress and to the president?
Well, we have to speak as loudly as we possibly can to get people to pay attention. Listen, DEI, I have a daughter with disability. My daughter has a job. She is so proud when she comes home from work. She's a teacher's aide at a daycare center. And she talks about her day, how she's experienced her life, how things are going on. She's no different than you and I. She wants to have a full life. Well, doing away with DEI is throwing my child away. It's throwing people of color. You know what I mean? It's the most insulting and an indignant thing that this president could have done. That people would, that would benefit from DEI. They're the reason why the planes crashed. He's an asshole.
Thank you. Zoe?
Can you speak more on how you would collaborate with other governors in the region to stand up to Trump and his initiatives during his administration?
It's pretty simple. You pick up the phone, you go meet, you do what you have to do. Listen, you just can't fight. You fight everything that he does is wrong. So far, everything he's done is wrong. There might be a time where he might do something right. You know what I mean? So you have to have credibility when you challenge. But I would be reaching out to the other governors of the region. Listen, right now we're very fortunate. New York, Pennsylvania, and Delaware all have Democrat governors. So that's a good block to start with. And then reaching other governors through the DGA, that we as a block band together, because right now Trump is just getting away with, honestly, murder. And what do we do when he starts ignoring the courts? Right now, all we have is the courts are our front line right now, because, he won. People voted, and he said he was going to do this crazy stuff, and he's doing it. So I can't possibly, in my mind, in my heart, believe that people actually really believed he was going to do this stuff, and aren't bothered by it. It's actually very upsetting.
So this next question, it's a two-part question, and it's something we're asking everyone who's participated with us over the past few town halls. If you are the nominee, how will you defeat the Republican candidate? And if you are not the Democratic nominee, will you support and campaign for whoever wins the primary in the general election?
Let me answer the second one first. 1,000%. We as Democrats have to get together, because this election is going to be a very difficult one. We haven't elected a Democrat 3 terms in a row in probably 50 years. So, the odds are against us right now. And the way I'm going to win is I'm going to talk to blue collar, middle class people again, and talk to them about the economy, give them plans on affordability, work our way so we can get to a place where we bring back the people that, I said this earlier at another group. In the 1960s, 80% of union iron workers with John Kennedy. In the 1980s, they moved to be Reagan Democrats. You remember that term, right? Reagan Democrats. Now they're not voting with us at all because we're not talking to them on issues they care about. And again, I am the one that's most qualified because I can tell you, I'm probably the only one that had to use my credit card to pay for groceries because when I wasn't working, I couldn't afford it. That I missed mortgage payments when I was a young guy because when I'm not working, I can't afford it. So it gives you a very unique perspective, when it comes to life. So I think I'm the best suited. Look, I didn't go to college. I'm a union iron worker. I went to work with my hands. But I also became the freeholder director in Gloucester County and wound up the Senate president in the state of New Jersey. And you can't be the Senate president without having support throughout the state. So I know how to get things done. Whereas I joke, I know where the lights in the bathroom are day one, and I'm ready to go to work.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that we have one more question from the audience. Let's see. How do you plan to help grow New Jersey's economy, and what can we do to create more jobs and prosperity in the state?
Stop raising taxes. Honestly, listen, I'm really proud that when we did sports betting in New Jersey, for example, we had the lowest tax rate in the nation on sports betting, which means we got more people working than not, and they're paying income tax, right? So we're the number one sports betting state in the nation. Marijuana was one hell of a challenge. And everyone said, oh, you're doing it for the sales tax. I said, I don't want the sales tax. I could care less about the sales tax. We have the lowest sales tax rate in the nation on marijuana because I want people purchasing it legally because it's a safer product than what they get off the street. And I want people to go to work. There's a potential for New Jersey, by us doing this the right way, to have 42,000 direct jobs. That's 42,000 people paying income tax that are not paying income tax now. You grow the economy by making it more affordable. Every time we keep raising taxes, listen, people, like I said, when we did the retirement income tax, that was an important thing. It helped seniors. We lowered the sales tax. People said, raise it again. Okay, it's only 900 million coming out of people's pockets. No, stop. We got to stop raising and starting to focus on how we can afford the government that we have. Because there's a think tank that was established at Rowan University that has my name on it. I can't be involved with it anymore because I'm running for governor. Well, they showed everyone, they showed the legislature and the governor, everyone. We have a huge deficit coming. Well, guess what? They took the $1 billion for New Jersey Transit and spent it. The budget was $2 billion out of balance when they introduced it. Added 750 in spending on top of it. So why are we in trouble? We've been telling you this is coming. No one likes to give bad news. No one likes to, but I believe in being like brutally honest with people, and it's served me well. That's why I stayed Senate president as long as I did. I'm someone that doesn't believe in lying to people. You might not like the answer, but I will give you an answer.
Thank you. Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to close with?
Hey, I apologize for sitting in the car because I got tied up in traffic. Oh, by the way, mostly in North Jersey when I was trying to come south. But I really do appreciate the opportunity and the time that both committees are giving to this. Elections are important. We want more people voting, not less people voting. And when we get more people voting, we get a system that's not controlled by special interest. So let's get people out there and give them a reason to vote. So, and I think I'm the most qualified to run the state. Time is money, and normally it takes a couple of years for somebody to learn it, and by then they're running for re-election. So thank you for the opportunity. I really, really appreciate it.
We are thrilled that you were able to join us and to speak with such depth of expertise, even from a car. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I do know how to run government, and we can do better.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks to Chairman Heath for the Morris County and Sussex County Town Hall series this year. And thank you to all of our committee members who have been joining us. This is the final segment of our 6-candidate Town Hall series. All of these will be available for people to review. And we look forward to seeing you at our county convention. I don't think the date has been finalized yet, but we look forward to seeing you most likely in March.
Thank you. You be
on
well.
March 1st. We look forward to seeing everyone there as well.
Excellent.
Oh my, there are going to be like 3 or 4 of them that day.
Whoops.
Oh my. Well, listen, thank you. Really thank both counties for the opportunity to do this. And I'm looking at myself on this camera, and it's like, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I've got like my Zoom smoothing on, so I don't actually look this amazing myself. So
absolutely you do. I remember you from a few years ago, Darcy. Again,
yes,
thank you both.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to everyone. Have a great night. Get home safe, and we appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you.